Welcome to the Amazing Truth Podcast, a podcast where we focus on real issues and have real talk, and as always, provide a biblical perspective. We hope that you will be blessed as you listen.
Hello and welcome to the Amazing Truth Podcast. This is the Amazing Truth Minute.
This is the Amazing Truth Podcast. The Amazing Truth Podcast. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Stitcher. Like us on Facebook at the Amazing Truth Podcast. The Amazing Truth Podcast. Real issues, real talk.
For the Amazing Truth Minute today, we'll listen to a poem entitled I Won't Quit by Edna. I know what it is for life to throw me curveballs, but I won't quit. Bit by bit, I'll make it. An illness I can barely understand, laden with stigma, battling with demons, but I won't quit. Bit by bit, I'll make it. I know what it is to make headway, then find myself back to the drawing board. All gains are losses. All the same, I just can't quit. Bit by bit, I'll make it. An obstacle I can barely go around. Looking for love and affection in all the wrong places. Getting hurt in the process. Still, I won't quit. Bit by bit, I'll make it. I know what it is to give up on life, friends, humanity. I know what it feels to risk taking my own life. The darkness, pain, hopelessness, extreme exhaustion, the drama, but I just won't quit. Can't quit when I see what the Savior's done for me, how He loves me so. I feel His love, I see it. The darkness makes His light shine brighter. The cold makes His love much warmer. His love dispels the fear. I tell you, He loves me so. So I won't quit. Bit by bit, by His grace, I'll make it. As for you, please don't quit. I may not know your struggles, but by His grace, you'll make it. He loves you too. We are here for a purpose. There's a better place, a better day. And that is the Amazing Truth Minute.
This is the Amazing Truth Podcast. The Amazing Truth Podcast. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Stitcher. Like us on Facebook at the Amazing Truth Podcast. The Amazing Truth Podcast. Real issues, real talk.
Welcome back, Kenan and Edna.
Yes. Glad to be back.
We are back again from our 1 week break ish, right? But we're excited. I'm excited to be back. As we continue with this important conversation, overcoming and rising above schizophrenia. We last time, I think that's the appropriate title. That is the title of your book, Edna, right? Right? That's the title of your book. Overcoming, rising above schizophrenia. And amazing poems that she pens. And I will highly encourage everyone to get this copy. We'll post and let you know where to get it. Kenan,
I hope I did justice to the poem, Edna. I tried my best to. These are your thoughts. I tried my best to bring it out, but the points are amazing.
The points are amazing. For those of us, let's just anchor ourselves in this conversation. The title of the poem is I Won't Quit. I like how it ended. I think the last part for me was, it says, I won't quit bit by bit by His grace. As for you, please don't quit. I may not know your struggles, but by His grace, you'll make it. He loves you too. We are here for a purpose. There is a better place, a brighter day. Powerful punchline as we end. This is the moment where I like usually putting Kenan on the spot, because mostly as a sanguine, he has already forgotten what we did last week. So, Kenan, what did we cover last time?
This time I kept my notes.
All right.
So we met Edna. We got to know her. She walked us through her childhood journey, with her journey through living with schizophrenia. She talked about how it started in the journey, and then we picked up in campuses where it now kind of becomes unmanageable. She has an episode and she's taken to the hospital and diagnosed with schizophrenia. She's given medications, and she's given medications. She takes the medications. She still has episodes going in. She goes on a journey to find what schizophrenia is, and she kind of learns to live with it. She battles with self-stigma and how, the side effects of the medications, and she's still in campus. I think now we're into the final year, and then we're picking up from after campus. Told you, man. I told you.
I see. You took your notes. But we talk about schizophrenia. She did give some symptoms. She didn't give what is that? That's a big word.
Well,
what would that be?
And I will tell her
in our own language.
So it's a thought disorder. There's manic episodes. Some patients are verbally aggressive. They have delusional thoughts. Some patients go to the extent of being suicidal and being homicidal. So again, they're symptom specific, but that's kind of what we see.
Psychotic.
Yeah, be psychotic. Yeah, it can develop into psychosis, and so it could. There's worse and there's
so you lose touch of reality. I remember her mentioning the aspect of losing touch with reality. You just find yourself zoned out somewhere else. You don't even know what's happening around you. I talked about you lose touch of reality, withdrawal. You withdraw from people, from things you used to like doing. You just find you don't have interest in those. Did you mention appetite? Well, I believe is that one of the symptoms?
Could be, yeah.
Could it affect your appetite, sleeping patterns? It can, yeah. All those things. I don't know. I'm just thinking I might start giving some different diagnosis for different things. So let me stop at this point before I confuse people. But it's a journey. It's a journey. And we thank you, Edna, for gaining the courage, for being willing and able to show up and show out and walk us through this journey. One thing I want to celebrate Edna here is she does an amazing job in expressing herself through writing.
Yeah.
Through writing, which is our weakest link. Right?
Speak for yourself.
Speak for myself. Yeah. I can confidently speak for ourselves here. It is our weakest link. So I want to say that as we go through this story, there's a lot, and she's an author. She's writing messages of hope. So we thank you for stepping out of your comfort zone to express yourself in this format, in this form, and we really appreciate that. So let's jump into it. So, Edna, you are in a high school, college, you graduate from college. You have 2 major episodes while in college, right? So now, diving in, going to the next, to our conversation. How is it after college? After college, of course, the trajectory to life is you get a job, you do all that. How does life transition now post college?
Okay. After campus, I got my first job, and I worked for some time. Then I left that job and began working also at another place. That was my career journey. I think it's separate from this other journey that we're talking about. Yeah. And after campus, first I had said I kept quiet about this. I didn't tell anyone. Those are points where now I opened up and began talking about this publicly. I finished campus in 2015. Then 2017 now is when I became more open to talking about the fact that I got diagnosed 4 years ago with a mental illness. It took me 4 years to just be able to just tell people that I'm going through this. And yeah, it's not the end of life, and whoever is also going through that, to also know that they're not alone.
So
Yeah.
what was your turning point for you to now come up and after 4 years? What made you now go out and talk about it? What was it that really gave you that urge and the courage to do that?
I think it was God, because I used to write a lot, but there's one day, it was at night, and I just woke up, I think, in the middle of the night, and there was something in my mind to share with people. And at first, the first thing I did was just to write a story, and it was my story, but I didn't mention the illness at that point. But looking back, that's the point I now started opening up, because when I shared that story, I shared it on some WhatsApp groups, which were mostly for the youth and church. And once I did that, there were encouraging messages that came back to me for talking about that. And that's when I realized probably people knew that I was struggling with something, but I didn't know they knew. And that's how now I just began opening up slowly by slowly. And eventually I later shared. Yeah.
So you just had an urge, middle of the night,
Yeah.
felt convicted,
Yeah.
decided, like, let me write,
Yeah.
posted these.
Yeah.
Are you nervous?
Yeah.
Even though you're not mentioned
Yeah.
your name?
I was. Not my name, but the fact that it's a mental illness. I wrote the story like it's me, but I didn't mention like a mental illness or schizophrenia
Okay.
itself. I just wrote like, yeah, I can't remember what it was I wrote, but it was something to do with it.
What?
Go ahead, Ken.
What did that do for you when you shared that?
When I shared that and people gave positive feedback, it kind of gave me a bit of peace that it's not all that harsh out there the way I imagined it would be.
Right.
Yeah, then that gave me more courage to continue opening up. Now I started writing poems and sharing. I started doing like blogging. There's a blog I used to post at, and that journey just started like that.
And I
Yeah.
can confidently say that the reverse is true. If you had gotten a negative feedback, or not feedback, but something that would, if they had reacted to it negatively, you'd have reinforced your fears, your self-stigma of what it is, and probably would have made it worse. We don't know. We're glad that you got a positive reaction.
I think, Kenan, there's power in how we react to people's stories. It can either destroy or make someone. But it goes back to the self stigma. You know, for 4 years I won't be accepted. I won't be. What do people think? What do people say? You know, all that was self-inflicted, was self-stigma. And then here it is, you go public, but then you get these positive feedback from people. And I know, unfortunately, as a community, as a church, as a society, as a people, we've always said, I don't feel comfortable to share because my story will be all over the place. I don't feel this to do. And yes, there is going to be. But one thing I've learned, Kenan, when people hear the story from you firsthand, they have very little to distort.
Yeah.
Than when they hear from someone else. Because someone else might say it from that's a whole different conversation. We can go into that. So, Kenan, you asked, what does it makes you feel? So walk us through the journey. You started blogging. You started writing. How does the feedback continue from there? People now embrace. Do you start coming out to people now, engaging, interacting with people? What does that do to your life? At this point, are you still isolating? How are you navigating through all that?
At that time, I wasn't isolating that much. I now was back to being around people, and it was like a journey. Maybe I should say this, that that time, 2017, is when I began also having a burden in my heart to encourage other people that in spite of everything, God is faithful. And that's how I started NCAMP. I know some people have heard of NCAMP.
To talk a little bit about NCAMP as you build into it. What's NCAMP?
Okay, NCAMP, it's a platform where I share my story, and I use it as a way of encouraging other people who may be going through what I'm going through, and to show them and tell them that God is faithful in spite of everything. It started as a blog, then I went to YouTube, and then I also now started writing the ebooks and books, and it's just been transitioning. Yeah, and it was just God himself who just began that journey, and I think he's going to finish it. Yeah.
One thing that caught my ears was when you said people knew, but they did not speak up, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Would you have wished someone to talk to you?
Right.
If you know somebody, would you, at that point, would it have been helpful if somebody reached out to you when they look back? People are going to be different, but for you, what would have support look like from these people? What would have you hoped they could have done more, if anything at all?
I think I would have appreciated if someone reached out and told me that it's not the end of the world, that there's people who have overcome this, and it's going to be a good journey. Things are going to go well. Yeah, I would have appreciated. But I think also there was a lot of fear, maybe. People don't know how you would react. Therefore, they're also hesitant on their end. You're also hesitant, so both sides you keep quiet.
Some people, I've heard people say, they'll think now they're going to make it worse. It goes to say that our community hasn't been taught or trained or knowledge enough to react to someone saying, okay, I'm suicidal today. What to do? Deer in the headlights. People don't know how to react. And being from that side, I can say we need more of education. We need more education on what it is. It's not the end of the world, and what really we can do to, alleviate that. Because then if someone says something to you, if someone says, oh, Ezra, I've noticed that you are down today. Is there anything we can, what's going on? And then if Ezra says, I'm not okay, what you say after that means it's a matter of life and death, to be honest. So it takes a lot. I think we need more education on stuff like that.
And we keep on saying we need more of these. I wonder if we can.
I mean, that's true, Ezra.
But I think these are hard paths. Let's be realistic. Different people will receive it differently. Some people want the space. Some people want you to be there. Yeah. Some people, so you need to know someone. You need to constantly be in a place where you're intuitive. You're able to prayerfully seek what is right to do and find that solution. Let me bring this back, Edna. Treatment. When we spoke in the last episode, you mentioned that you were getting medication. You are not seeing a therapist or counseling. Do you continue with treatment? Are you still taking the medication because you said it, some of the side effects was weight gain. And I was going to say something about that because I hear that side effects, people decline medication because of side effects when they're having a bigger problem. Are you still taking medication? And if you are, did you start counseling? Did you accept the medication finally? What's the journey of treatment for you here?
Okay, for a long time, I didn't want the medication. It was hard to accept that I needed medication for me to be okay. But eventually I accepted, and I began now taking medication, though with adjustments. I also didn't want to be over-medicated and unnecessarily. Yeah, I just found a good doctor, and now I started taking medication with less side effects. And about counseling or therapy, I had to start counseling at some point. I think that was in 2017. And that really helped a lot because it helped me to understand many things, to be more self-aware, to learn how I can cope, and to learn how I can have goals and work on different things, and also how to manage different experiences that I go through.
Yeah. I want to go back to just quick before we go to counseling, because this is a very important part of your journey. Medications is, right? I think, and medications are scary. They are scary. Some of them have side effects, if not most of them. And what I've seen is you're given a medication and then you get a side effect, and then you're given another medication to handle the side effects. And then, so it can be scary, but it's a proven fact that medications do help. The first line of defense is the medications. And again, every case is different. Some people do well without medication. Some people do well with medication. So it's a conversation you need to have with your psychiatrist, your psychologist, on what therapeutic approach is right for you. So it's different, but either or, medications have been proven scientifically to work, but again, it's not for everybody.
Yep. I think one thing we advocate here is get the help you need.
Yeah.
And if that help is medication, get that help. It's better for you to live with a side effect but be there with your family and support, rather than not be there at all.
Yes.
But make sure that you also advocate for yourself, like Edna said. Get a doctor who will understand the right medication and all those kind of things. Try this, try that, holistic. So we just want our listeners advocate that it is important. It is important. It is important. Yeah. Let's build on this. Let's build on the counseling. What finally gets you? Why counseling? How did that journey? You started getting counseling, but what made you go counseling? How did you settle to that? Is this something you are resistant to? And what are some of the things that are practically, tangibly that we can pick on those?
Okay, I think the doctor had initially mentioned that counseling is an option during those first times that I was admitted, but we hadn't picked it up keenly. We didn't look keenly into it, and I one time there was camp meeting at church, and there were these mental health sessions, and there was like a therapist who was giving a talk on mental health. And then I think they mentioned therapy and counseling. Then I saw the importance of now going for counseling if you have a mental illness or if you're struggling with a particular thing. And that's when I reached out, and that's how I began counseling at that point. And that's helped in a big way.
And so you're doing both. You're on medications, and then you're substituting or supplementing with counseling. It again? Counseling has helped. So would you? Yeah, it helps. What would you tell someone that's struggling with whether they should attend counseling? What would you say to them?
I would tell them that to give it a try, because it can help. It can help. Don't rule it out like you don't want to go for counseling, because some people think that if you're going for counseling, it's such a bad thing, because only those people who maybe are mentally ill or people who are going through really big stuff are the ones who go for counseling. But that's not necessarily the case. You can learn a lot about yourself and about ways you can be better just by going for counseling. You don't have to be in a crisis so that you go for counseling. In fact, it's even better to go even when you're just okay, and then you get help. Yeah. So
Edna, what is happening to your schizophrenia now? Are the episodes still there? Are they reducing? Now that you're doing counseling, you've accepted medication, you're back to people. What happens there?
Okay, since 2019, I haven't had an episode or a relapse, as they say. Because also from that time, I've been consistently taking medication and also doing counseling on and off. I've been doing counseling on and off, but medication throughout. And that has helped because now it's going to 3 years and I haven't had to be admitted in hospital. I haven't had a relapse and I haven't lost touch with reality, all those things. So it has really helped and it's positive. Yeah.
The key word here is managing. You're managing it.
Yeah.
Good,
Yeah.
good for you.
And you're living your normal life. People think that, Edna is Edna. She's thriving. She's Edna, So there's somebody out there who's thinking, oh, my condition is permanent, or my situation is this, or this will never be. We're here to say that those are myths. It is possible. What you tell your mind, what you think, the attitude that you put towards fighting whatever your battles are is very critical and very crucial. So, want to build on that. So, your books, big coping mechanism for you, huge writing. We saw this design, huge in helping you cope. What is going on through your mind when you're writing these poems? Like, how do you come up with the poems as in context of this journey? How do you come up with the poems? Like, is this something you just wake up at night and you write? Is this something when you're going through an episode and you express yourself in that? How do you come up with them?
Okay. Different poems come in different ways, I guess. But some poems, I would write them like, I think they would come from God in my view. Because sometimes I would just wake up and there's a poem in my mind and I've not thought about it. Like, I'm so sure I haven't thought about it, but it's there and I just write it and it just flows. But others, of course, I think about them and I just write them. I tend to think it's a gift. There's one poem that I wrote, just 2 lines in that poem say, "The darkness has lifted, by it I've been gifted." And those 2 lines for me, I tend to think that the gift is the poetry and the writing. Yeah, and it's really been so instrumental in helping me to get over all those things. Because, when you write, you release those thoughts, you release the emotions, and it's just so nice. Yeah, I don't know.
No, we can tell how the energy, we can tell what it means to you just by the words of those poems. Yeah. So it's a gift, and we pray that God gives you more and more and more, and however support we can give you, we'll let us know. We'll try our best to read them at least. So permission, actually, we'll get permission for you to use them on our Amazing Truth Minutes. Going forward, but we'll talk about that. But they are very, very, they are gifts. I can tell they're very meaningful.
So I want to tie this poetry design to your journey of rising above schizophrenia. You are writing these as a way of coping and dealing with that. I had a question. I'm getting that question, but let me remember that. I want to marry these 2 points. I've lost it.
Ezra, we can't sit here all day.
I've lost it. Go ahead. I've lost because I'm looking at your. Oh yeah, here's the point. Part of the journey of schizophrenia is some people can become suicidal. Was this a side effect that you once experienced? Have you experienced those episodes, those thoughts yourself? And have some of them been translated and reflected in your poetry in helping you cope with those reality, in that specific reality?
Yeah. I've had suicidal thoughts and ideations at different points in my journey. And sometimes when I write, when I'm at that state, or in that phase, it will reflect definitely. Some poems will be very dark, but some will be bright also. Yes, so I've had those thoughts. And I don't know if the thoughts are as a result of the medication or it's a result of, I don't know how they come. Yeah. Or it's just facing all this together. Yeah. I
mean, it's hard to really pinpoint what exactly it is, but like we can say it's a part of your journey. It's a point in your journey where, you know, there's those dark moments. There's your dark moments.
Yeah.
God has been gracious enough to help you write about those dark moments. Some people handle it the worst way, and some people handle it by talking, by reaching out for help. Some people write poems. So that is a part, a point in your journey. You read a lot too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's some books that have helped you through your journey as well. And we can share that. So some of those books off camera as well for other people too. Or if you have any in mind, you can share with us. That would be awesome too. If not, we'll put some when we post this. But so now you're going to counseling. You have a non-profit income, and you're talking about your journey. How I think I saw one of your stories on YouTube, and you're sharing this with us now. How is it for you now? Where are you at a point where you are comfortable with the illness and managing it? And where are you in terms of your mental illness and how you're managing it?
I'd say I'm at a good place because it's managed. Like, there are no relapses, there are no being admitted in hospital and such. I think it's well managed for now. And also about accepting, I think I've accepted largely, though there are days I still struggle and ask myself questions, but largely I've accepted. That's how I also came out publicly and told people that I'm going through this. And this is the journey.
Wow. Yeah. Amazing.
I think the acceptance is reflected in your poems.
Yeah.
You know, when I read about the author, I was reading these, you know, you said something that even caught me to really want to. Now I'm learning to read poems because I don't know what to do with them after I've read. Do I reflect? Do I, all that? But he says that the book starts off with sad, depressing tone, expressed in negative themes, but as you read on glimmers of hope, shine through the gloom and the doom. And I'm just thinking about your life since when you started the journey of schizophrenia and where you are today. You know, it starts with that, a negative, depressing tone. And I won't call them negative. I'll just say they are realities. And that's why I asked that question. Do these thoughts, because I read several poems and I'm looking at our conversation, I'm like, what was the story behind this poem and how is it tied with this journey? So definitely I want to tell people out there that find yourself this poem, this book. It's definitely, you will always get a poem that you can resonate in Edna's poems, Kenan.
One thing I think, I haven't even told Ezra this, but I think, Edna, one of these we'll do us kind of like mini-sodes of we'll get a poem, read it, and then maybe take 5 minutes and tell us the background of the poem, and then the positive, the glimmer of hope through each poem. We'll work on that. I think it will be very helpful. So then we can get a glimpse of your book. Not all of them, because you want people to buy the book and support you, but just 1 or 2 mini-sodes to kind of get a glimpse of the poem, the words, and the glimmer of hope that comes through the doom and gloom, right? Yeah.
So this second part is really just starting to wind up and bring home about coping and how you've navigated, and you're in a very good space, a very good place and stuff like that. would you mind me reading some poems for the readers a little bit? We just read a few poems here. We don't have to expound on them, but just read some of the key poems that I think for me really, when I was reading them, they were hitting home. And I wondered a lot what was going on, but nonetheless, they have been a glimmer of hope to me. Says, some days I lose, It says, some days I lose a heart full of love, but nowhere to dispense it. Some days I lose bucket loads of pain. Oh, how it hurts. Some days I lose if I could just turn the lights off for good. Some days I lose a heart full of scars, but no healing to be found. Some days I lose. I was reading that poem. You can imagine I'm thinking, oh, what's Edna going through? What all that. But then they are very exciting poems. There's some that just, eyes on the prize, but I keep my eyes on the prize. You just imagine going from some days I lose to I keep my eyes on the prize. What keeps you going in life? What keeps you moving is that prize. And I like the fact how you begin with the first and say, I see you, Jesus. Just this powerful, I won't quit, the one that we did for our devotions, for our pressing on. Let me read just a quick line here on I'm pressing on. I'm pressing on, and then we start winding up here. Says, I'm pressing on. The guilt, the shame, the pain, I'm still pressing on. The fear, the doubt, the darkness, I'm still pressing on. Still in denial, still in despair, still in shock, I'm still pressing on. Confused, dazed, flabbergasted, I'm still pressing on. Mistakes, miscalculations, misfits, I'm still pressing on. Yearning, seeking, waiting, I'm still pressing on. For I know there is a hand that will never let go. There is one whose love will never fail. I am still pressing on. For I know there is one who truly cares. There is one who fully knows. I'm still pressing on. For I know there is one who will never give up, and he will see me through. I'm forever pressing on. Powerful stuff.
That's amazing.
Good, and man, this is powerful stuff.
Yeah, that's, man.
It is, Edna, this is powerful stuff. I want to celebrate this work. Beautifully done. Your design, your writing, and how it has become your tool of coping with the realities of life. I think it's important we start doing parting shots, Kenan, here. What are you hearing? What have you learned from this entire session?
Just that poem itself. I'm pressing on, waiting,
You're thinking the song.
No, the poem itself, Okay, here's my parting shot. Press on. Press on, press on, press on. You're waiting. There's darkness, there's gloom, there's doom. Press on, because there's a hand that will not let go.
Powerful.
That's amazing. I cannot go.
You cannot top that.
No,
you cannot top that.
Press on.
Edna, schizophrenia, rising above. I know that even talking to us is not natural. Just expressing and speaking, writing is your natural form. So, listeners, forgive us if we are talking too much. It's because we are a team here with Edna in this journey, right? Because she writes well, and we're pulling out of her material. What would you tell people about your journey? What is it that you have in your heart? Because you say this is your way of speaking to it. What is it that you have in your heart? That you will let people know something, anything.
Okay, I'll just share like a short story. I hadn't even thought of sharing it, but let me just share. Recently, there's a time I was like asking myself, why am I here? Like, what am I doing on this earth? What is the purpose of this life? Yeah, I was really down, and those suicidal thoughts, they were trying to come, or they were there, and I started asking God so many questions, like, why did you let all this happen, and why is life like this? And then God just asked me one question, and I just kept quiet. That, like the way in the Bible Job was being told, by his friends that all this, and then he was also asking God so many questions, and God was silent. Then at some point, God asked him some questions, then Job went silent. That's how I went silent, because imagine you're just low and you're down kabisa, and you're asking God all these questions. Then God asks me, what is the purpose of a flower? I didn't know what to say, actually, because that's God asking me, like, what's the purpose of a flower? And there's so many ways I could think of that, answering that question. And I knew I was asking God, what is my purpose? Then God is here asking me, what is the purpose of a flower? Then I'm like, hey, God, did you get my question? But then I know there's a reason why God is asking me that. And that just dealt with all those thoughts, and I got encouraged. I don't know why he asked me that. I don't know how those two are related or anything, but it really encouraged me that there's a purpose and a reason why I'm here specifically. Yeah. And not just me, but each and every individual on this earth. There's a reason why God made you. There's a reason why you've listened to this episode and any other episode on the Amazing Truth podcast. And I'd just like to encourage whoever is listening that don't give up and just hang in there. And yeah, something good is going to come out of your life. If you've given up, just don't give up. There's no room to give up. There's no room to get lost, because God is there and He's able to carry you through until the last day. Yeah.
Well, I want to say it has been eye-opening, powerful, and as we say it here, your test is your testimony. Yeah. The tests that you've gone through for all these years is what you're testifying on now and how far you've come. And may it uplift many people wherever they are, those who are going to listen to this podcast. I want us to finish. We've talked so much about your book. Where can people find this book, this poem book?
Okay, maybe we might have to share some links when we share like the podcast, because they're on different platforms. I've written like 6 ebooks. And they're on different platforms, but they're online.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll put some links together, and when this goes out, the links will be out there as well. So please support.
And I'm gonna say this. Edna did not ask me to say this, and Ken and neither does know about this. I know the ebook I bought was like $2, $3, or something like that, for the poem that I'm reading. The poems that I'm reading, the Overcoming. Rising above schizophrenia. But I will dare challenge you all to support Edna. If you can give more towards her cause, her journey, and she didn't ask me to do this. I don't know her story. We didn't even talk about finance. We didn't talk about anything along those lines. But listen, there's a lot of work. There's a lot of time that you're putting in. Right now, it's late there to even be here with us, so that you can continue doing these and allow you to continue building. I will challenge you all. I know your website is coming up in camp. I don't know if it's up already. Well, at some point when it will be up, we'll let you know here at Amazing Truth. Go there, like, support, read the poems, and know that if she has made it this far, and she's continuing to journey, and God has walked with her, there is nothing impossible in your life. This too is your story, and you can draw lessons out of this. We want to finish with the very same poem that we just read. It says this: I am still pressing on. The guilt, the shame, the pain, I'm still pressing on. Press on. The fear, the doubt, the darkness, please still keep pressing on. Are you still in denial, in despair, or in shock? Please, still press on. Are you feeling confused, dazed or even flabbergasted at the moment, please don't give up. Still press on. You've made mistakes, miscalculations that have cost you everything in your life. You feel like you don't fit, you don't belong for whatever reason. Don't give up. Please keep pressing on. Are you yearning, seeking, waiting, yearning to be loved, to belong, to be accepted? Seeking for a job, a spouse, or whatever it is that you're seeking. You're waiting patiently for healing for 6, 7, 10, 15 years. Please don't give up. Still press on. She says, I'm pressing on, for I know there is a hand that will never let go. There is one whose love will never fail. Please keep pressing on. For Edna reminds us that she knows there is one who truly cares. Mm-hmm. There is one who fully knows. I am still pressing on, for I know there is one who will never give up. He will see me through forever. I am pressing on. Thank you so much, Edna, for those powerful words. Yep. Thank you for sharing with us your journey. Thank you, listeners, for joining. Thank you, viewers, for viewing. Like, subscribe, and share for someone to be encouraged. That has been our time here at Amazing Truth. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Amazing Truth Podcast. We hope you were blessed as you listened. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. God bless you, and see you on the next one.